Okay, so if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat while we're going through this presentation, but I'm going to kind of go through pretty quickly so that we have time for questions at the end. Okay, so let's get into it. All right. Oh, sorry about that. So I set out a series of topics that we're just going to discuss in this info session. We're going to take a quick look at the initiative at a large, then it can get into the background of how it came to be, some examples of digital projects, what would make a competitive application, and then just some important dates to keep in mind, and of course, applying. So the very short description of the Visualizing Democracy initiative is that we're seeking proposals for creative digital projects that will interpret and visualize the responses we receive from New Jerseyans about our democracy in the state and also the country through the Democracy Conversation Project, or DCP. And I'll get into what DCP is in a moment. But first, I just want to lay out some of the most pertinent info. So the biggest thing is the application deadline is June 14th, 2023 at 11:59. And you can request any award amount between $2,500 and $5,000. It just depends on the scale of your project and what you intend to do with that money. And keep in mind, these awards are small and you only have 3 months to complete your projects. So that means your projects don't have to be giant. We don't expect them to be. And for whatever project you choose, if you're selected for an award, you'll be notified by July 14th of this year, and you'll have until October 16th to complete your project. And you're eligible to apply individually or as a team as long as you're a New Jersey resident or go to school in New Jersey and you're 18 and older. Okay, so a little bit of background on the archive of responses that you'll be working with. So over the past 2 years, the Democracy Conversation Project has facilitated discourse about the state of our democracy among New Jersey residents. So this started in 2021 through a series of virtual conversations that were hosted by 8 New Jersey community colleges. And then in the spring of 2022, NJCH expanded this project by allowing New Jersey residents to directly contribute their own reflections on the topic through a portal on our website and also through these physical story boxes that were placed at libraries and other institutions across the state. So New Jersey residents gave their thoughts to 4 prompts that we provided for them. One of them, for example, was what do you remember about the first time you voted? So these were collected on the program's website where they now exist for you all to interpret through your proposed digital projects. And in case you haven't seen it, this is kind of what the archive looks like. As you can see, there are various filters that you can use to search through the responses. We received over 500, I believe. That might be, yeah, over 500 responses. So just to demonstrate, I filtered by prompt. So what does it mean to be a good citizen? I hit submit for that one. And it pulls up all these responses that we received to that question with a short quote from each of those responses. And again, this is on the website, the Community Conversations program page. You can then click on each of those boxes and it will pull up the full response. So if they submitted that response to a story box, one of those physical boxes that was in one of the previous slides, you'll see the actual card that they wrote on, which we scanned and put on the website. And I personally love the responses that we've gotten from kids. I think they're adorable and also make good points. So we also, So we also have an Excel spreadsheet if people would prefer to search the archive that way. And if so, you can just email me and I will send that to you. So as for what exactly counts as a digital project, the answer is a lot of things. So there's some examples here, but we encourage you all to get creative. We're open to all sorts of digital projects and don't want anyone to feel limited. So the only stipulation is that the project must be able to live on our website in some way. So we have to be able to visually represent it on our website. But exactly how that looks will kind of just depend on what the projects are. It's kind of hard to determine that in advance. But you do have a lot of liberty when it comes to this. And also, if you just have a question about if your project idea counts as digital, please always feel free to ask. We will definitely be happy to answer that for you. And as for some other things that will make your application competitive, all this information is on the website, but what I've laid out here is just a kind of a reiteration of what's on there. But we do want to see that you've deeply explored the archive of responses and in return have developed an idea for a project that has a really compelling interpretive theme that clearly connects to the content within the DCP archive. So if your project will enhance engagement with the content, that will also improve your application. And we also want to see that you've thought through your budget, your timeline, and the roles of your project team. And there are spaces for all of these things to be reflected in your application, which I'll get to in a moment. But first, I just want to go through some important dates to keep in mind. So the most important thing, of course, is that the application deadline is June 14th at 11:59 p.m. And after that point, we have an evaluation committee that's going to go through all these proposals and decide on awardees. And that committee consists of artists and digital humanities professionals in New Jersey. And you'll know if your project has been selected by the committee for commission by July 14th, 2023. And after that, you'll have 3 months to work on your projects. You should plan to send all your materials necessary for a virtual exhibition on our website to us by October 16th. And after that point, you can really do whatever you want with your projects. You are the owner of the project, not us. So you're at free will to do whatever you wish. Okay, as for applying, you can access the request for proposals and guidelines for applying through this link. And I'll put that, I'm going to copy it now so I can put that in the chat at the end of the presentation. You can also go to our website and click on the Community Conversations program page, which will first pull up the DCP archive. And then there's also at the top of the page a link to the guidelines. And the application is embedded within the request for proposals page. And here's just a screenshot of what part of the application will look like. So you'll click on this little button next to the open application, and it pulls out all these fields that you can fill out. And again, these are just screenshots, but in the application, you'll put a dollar amount for your award request, which will again be between $2,500 and $5,000. You'll provide text about your project description, your project team, and budget. And then you'll have the option to upload files like resumes or work samples to support your application, but these are not required. And of course, any questions that you have about applying along the way, you can email me or Gigi, which our contact info is right here. So if you have any questions that you think of after this info session, or have any concerns, please email us or refer back to our website where the information that I presented here exists. But yeah, I just want to open up now for any questions or just general discussion. Anything that you all would like to ask, now is the time. And thank you for listening to the presentation.
The link to the Community Conversations page in the chat, as well as me and Allie's email addresses, which are also available here, as Allie said.
Thank you for putting that in there.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Any questions, comments, concerns, things you want to talk over with us?
Hi, I guess I have a question if you don't mind. I came in late, so I apologize if you've already mentioned this, but it said in the RFP that there was, kind of open how the data would be visualized, and it included mapping. And I was just wondering, does the data have geocoded information with it for mapping?
So it does include the town that the person who's writing the response lives in.
Okay.
And we do, if you would like, an Excel spreadsheet that kind of lists all that information maybe more easily than is on the website, you can email me and I can send you the Excel sheet so that you can search through that way.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Allie. I will email you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Allie, I think you can filter by place as well, correct? Am I remembering that correctly?
I don't think we can, but we could make that happen. Does anyone else have any questions?
I feel like I will have questions, but at the moment I can't come up with them. So I'll definitely email you if I do.
Please do. That's totally okay.
Yes, we will accept all of your questions, Jen, and for the next 15 minutes, and then after that, forget it. This is a great question in the chat. Is the expectation to use all of the submissions or for artists to incorporate as much as they can? Excellent question.
Yeah, so definitely we don't expect that everyone would use all of the responses. That would be a very difficult task. So really what we're looking for is to focus on some sort of theme, or, you know, if you want to focus on location, maybe like through mapping. We don't expect to see that a whole big portion of the responses will be used in your projects, unless, you know, that's the point of your project. But you have a lot of creative leeway when it comes to which responses you end up using, and you can use as many or as little as you would like and feels relevant to your project idea. Gigi, do you want to expand on that?
You said it well, Allie. The only other thing I want to mention, and we put this in the guidelines as well, is another consideration might be what is not in the archive. We do want to make sure that everybody does engage with the archive in some way. A big point of this is elevating people's voices. That's like the voices of many, many people was a goal, but certainly there are many, many silences that exist in the archive as well. So that's something else to consider, but yeah, use as few responses as makes sense in how you're interpreting this work. The interpretive aspect of it, the creative aspect is absolutely for you.
Agreed.
Are there any questions related to people living with disabilities?
There are not.
One of the things that we did is create keyword tags within the archive itself.
Okay.
So definitely consider it's worth looking through the keywords and seeing if any. Again, I can't remember if disability was a specific tag that came up in any of the responses. We created the keyword tags based on the responses, but that's a really interesting question.
Yeah, I work for Atlantic Center for Independent Living. I'm their outreach and activity specialist. I'm also an artist. So when I came across this grant, I thought maybe there was a way that I could kind of combine the two aspects of what I do. So I'll have to think on that and see if there's a creative way to do that.
Sounds very interesting. Yeah.
That's a really interesting thing. I think I'm seeing in the chat. Janae was telling us diversity is there, a lot about diversity, not disability. Healthcare is there is another question. So that's a really interesting, a potentially interesting little way of delving into the silences. What is there and what isn't there? Identity, that was a big one as well.
Great.
Yeah. So even, coming through and filtering for identity, might be an interesting way to think about how people define their own identities. Or, there may be something in there that specifically is about disability. I'm not sure.
Justice. Okay.
Justice. Yeah.
Awesome.
This is great. Thank you so much. Any other questions, comments? Representation, power, accountability, right?
Mm-hmm.
People really have amazing things to say about democracy.
They do.
Truly, this was a really deeply inspiring and sometimes disturbing project.
Mm-hmm. This is true. All right. Well,
I guess I have another question. And again, this might be something you covered when you first started. The final submissions, what kinds of formats are you looking for the final submissions? And can you provide, can we lay out different platforms? So we want to do video and we want to do maps and we want to do something else. Is that acceptable?
Yeah. I'll go back to
Sorry for
No, no.
this.
So really, whatever format that could live on our website in some way is what we would ask for. And that really just depends on what your project is. And we can talk through that, in more detail if you'd like. It just depends on what the project idea would be. But
Yeah,
any format that would get the point of your project across on our website in some way would be accepted.
great. That's helpful.
The most important aspect of format is that it does have to exist in a digital space. So if there is a physical component to it, I'm not sure what that would be, but you're welcome to have that. But that can't be your only submission. It would have to be able to be translated into a digital space in some way.
Maybe you took a video of the physical thing that you created. That could work.
Great, thank you.
Because we collected so many physical cards, so many of the responses were on physical cards, we did at one point think that it would be really incredible to be able to see all of them together somewhere. The physical, Allie did the vast majority of work on actually inputting all of that data into our website, and it's the stacks of cards are really quite something to behold, to be
I still have
honest.
some in my backpack.
I find them everywhere.
Keep finding them. Okay, well, if nobody has any other questions, that is okay. And always feel free to email me or Gigi if you come up with any other questions or would like the Excel sheet or just have any other requests or concerns. And here's our contact info again, but I think it's in the chat. But thank you all for joining. I'm really excited to see what ideas you all come up with. This is really exciting. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing what you all propose.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you for this. It's an interesting call. It's very exciting to have new opportunities.